can I just get everyone on the same page, please? We are at 4, the consent agenda on the open agenda. And this is several minutes of committees and commissions, correspondence, et cetera, et cetera. I have a mover, Director Mack. I have a seconder, Director Rainbow. Are there any comments?
I got a comment.
Go ahead.
The 4.22
Yep.
Ministry for Sea to Sky Natural Resource District visitor use management plan. I reviewed it. I downloaded it. It's a good template
Okay.
to use. It's excellent.
Follow-up comment to that on the same item. I just thought when you get to the area DOCPs, a lot of that should be remembered and possibly incorporated. It's pretty good directive.
Okay.
And giving some good management actions. Yep.
So Director Brooks Jones, I would suggest, since that's more specific, that we pull this item and add it as a discussion point, and then we can make a resolution to refer the example to the area B OCP process.
Okay, so
Because I would like it to be
on the
written
record.
down.
All right, I'd like to remove 4.2.2, please.
Thank you. And Angela will add that to a later agenda item of, we will add that as, we will add it as to 10.3, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, I will call the question on the consent agenda as amended. Go ahead, Director Herford. I need your digital hand because I don't see you otherwise.
Sorry, I was searching for something. I'm just gonna go back to my my agenda. At the I'd like to pull 6.1.1.
We haven't got there yet.
Is that not part of the end of sorry, I just wasn't sure if that was the end of the consent agenda or not. Committee reports and recommendations, or that's its own piece.
That's okay. We deal with all of 4 and then we go to 6.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all in favor of the consent agenda? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. We've dealt with business arising from the minutes, I think.
We have them.
Now, we'll go on to 6.1.1, and this is a request for decision on the Canada Community Building Fund, Community Works Fund project funding request. We have staff coming in for this?
Yeah, it should be.
I'll move that.
Let staff come in first. Hello.
Hello.
What would you like to tell us about Pinecrest Water?
Oh, perfect. Yeah, this is a community works fund request for funding for a feasibility study to combine the Pinecrest and Black Tusk water systems. Any questions? I'm happy to answer them.
Great.
I have Omar here to assist with any technical questions.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? I will ask, is there anything that keeps you up at night about these 2 water systems as they currently stand?
No.
Great. Awesome. Any other questions? No one else has questions? Okay. Thank you for the report.
I'd like to move this, please.
Okay,
I'll second it.
thank you. Any comments? Seeing none? Go ahead.
It's something that's supported by both communities, so like we've talked to Black Tusk and Pinecrest Stratas, and they're both supportive of looking at this.
Awesome. Thank you. With that, I'll call a question. All in favor? 31 opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And now we're at 6.1.2. That the board approved the amended board policy number 26-2021 regarding the Canada Community Building Fund Works Fund. So we have ones here. Questions? Oh, and
Yeah, Suzanne, yeah.
hello. Right.
Suzanne Frost, Director of Finance. And this is just to discuss the Community Works Fund policy. We went through the EAD committee this month and they've accepted my proposed changes and added one additional change that I added in. So I'll just open it up for questions and comments.
Go ahead.
So I'm just looking forward to asset management planning. My assumption is that, and maybe it's a misassumption, that Community Works Fund will be a very likely source for our asset management works. And the asset management plan, first and foremost, in short order, will be the thing that determines actually where these funds and probably some others will go. Is that?
It's different with regional districts and their asset management plans with the fund service. So I think they can still be compartmentalized. We don't have one large asset management plan. We do have the corporate plan, which was just to get a first step look at all of our assets and the state of them. But that's not something that we can use for community works funds. When we're looking at each separate service, we can definitely use community works funds for all things asset management, replacements, plans, and any new assets as well. So for our asset management planning work, we're starting to look at each service, but it is a lot of work to do. You know, we have maybe 10 water systems and they're all very different. And so, yeah, the community works fund can definitely be used for anything asset management. That answer your question? Does it seem?
Yeah, I think so. I guess I was sort of thinking or assuming that the asset management plan, one of the things it was sort of, because it feels like a lot of our funding decisions are somewhat ad hoc. And I was looking for and sort of looking towards asset management to be like, hey, we're looking at 10 years at all the things we have to do in all the electoral areas and everywhere. Prioritize them, and this is how we go, and here's a great funding source to that. And so bring these sort of things together and bring a bit more sort of overall sort of big picture planning around our overall spending.
Community works fund could be used for everything for sure. Like it's very limited. So we can't use it for everything asset management. And we're still trying to build our asset management capacity.
Okay, Heather.
I just wanted to clarify something that's happening this year is that Director Buck and that we are discussing what our long-term plans are for the assets, what management needs to be done, what community works fund we always qualify for that, what will need grants, and having a longer term plan so that hearing from the board that these ad hoc things would sooner be more comfortable if you saw them up front. That planning, it might not be a commitment, but that planning can be there and we know what's coming towards us.
I have Director Stoner, then Director Birch Johnson.
Thank you, through the chair. I just wanted to clarify one of the additions that I think was made after this went to the EAD committee, which was in the allocation of the CWF to the electoral areas. It speaks to the process that the board has used in terms of allocating the Community Works Fund, but there was an addition that the Community Works funds belong to the electoral area of the SLRD. And I just want to ground truth the accuracy of that. My understanding of Community Works funds are actually that they are allocated to the SLRD as a whole, and we've made the decision as a board to allocate based on electoral areas. But that is a decision of the board and delegated authority. It's not so much that the Community Works funds, by their nature, are belonging to the EAs.
Yeah, I think, I understand where you're coming from, and I think that the language here feels very pointed, that, it suggests that no dollar of community works funds should be spent in Pemberton or in Lillooet. That is not the case. The case is that the money is allocated to the regional district and determined on a case-by-case basis where that money would be spent. If the area directors committee suggests to the board that there would be a project that would be supportable by community works funds from area B, for example, we don't want to say that area B community works funds allocation cannot be allocated to a project in Lillooet, as has been done many, many times.
Yeah.
I think the recommendation is that, and I did watch the electoral areas meeting last week. And it did seem as though the comments were intended to say none of this money will be spent in the municipalities. That is accurate, but we're not fettering a future board decision to say that that money cannot be shared as appropriate based on the desire of the area director.
Yeah, I think that the area director should have the final say in
That-
where those monies go.
Director LaFrance, is that the legislation that determines where the decision is? Like, it's not a delegated authority to the EAD. It still has to be recommended to the board, because we all have a fiduciary responsibility to the allocation of these funds.
That's correct. The board has the ultimate approval of the projects. The EADs recommend them. And then the board reviews and approves or disapproves.
And can I just clarify, Director LaFrance, that the way that the money is allocated to the regional district, it is intended to be for the regional district as a whole. It is not done for individual electoral areas, although that has been our choice as a board to apportion it that way, and we have policy to guide that.
So the community works funds are reviewed just for the electoral area. They're not, the municipalities aren't included in the calculation. First Nations are included. So, but it is the SLRD board that decides, and it's with this current policy that we're trying to decide these things, I guess.
Yeah, if there was a regional project that was going to work in all 4 electoral areas, we could spend this money in that way. If there was a project that was specific and it took our whole allocation and we wanted to spend it all in Braylorn, we could. But the area A director doesn't decide that unilaterally. I think we all understand that. But if all of it was to be spent in one area, that is a choice of the board. We've allocated it based on population size and need to the 4 areas. And we've given that, anyway, I feel like the Whistler's not coming for any of the community works funds out of the regional district allocation. We are on computer.
Well, you all.
Yeah. Yes. So this is. I think this is just being.
See, in my mind, I think we should have left the allocation the way it was, that each individual electoral area got a portion of that community works fund based on the funding formula that we did, and then you go from there. And as long as I've been here, it's worked just fine. I mean, now all of a sudden it seems that there's money out there that people have their eye on. And that's, I'm just being honest about it.
Well, okay, and I've heard you say this many, many
Yeah,
times,
I-
and it's unfair.
Well,
Because I am not sitting here as a counselor in Whistler today. Today, I am a director of the regional district and I am representing the interests of area C as much as I'm representing the interests of area B and A and B. And so I have a financial responsibility. I'm elected to make a financial decision on area C as well as the other 3 areas. We are not here taking or voting in favor of things that are going to.
But when something is discussed through the electoral area directors committee.
Yeah.
And we make a recommendation to the board.
Yeah.
To spend that money in a certain way on a certain subject.
Yeah.
Then when it comes to the board should take the EAD's lead on that and say, okay, these people think that this is beneficial to whatever area it is, and they should support that.
But there are 7
Can I-
people at this table that have their own minds about what they think is important. I'm gonna go to Mike, and then I'm gonna go to Armin, and then I'm gonna go to Chris, and you forgot me. Mike, I'm gonna go in order. Mike, okay, Armin.
I don't ever, in 11, 12 years, ever remember the board going against the will of an area director when it's looking for funding from these sources. Not once in 12 years do I ever remember anybody saying, no, Vivian, you shouldn't spend your money that way. We need the confidence because it's our fiduciary responsibility. That's in you. But it's our responsibility to make sure that the money is being spent in a responsible way, et cetera, et cetera. That's what we do here. We have always taken full consideration of the area director's advice, recommendations, and experience. And again, not once in 12 years have I ever seen us say no. So I do get a little bit tired of we need full control and the municipalities are gonna not tell us where to spend our money because we never have, not once.
Well, I just feel that the narrative is changing, so, and it has for the last 1.5 to 2 years, so anyways, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, finally. I was still trying to respond to Director Pettingill when he said ad hoc, and I wanted to say, no. We, 4 electoral areas are unbelievably different, okay? And we have different priorities. We used to have our own plans that we reviewed regularly. And then I think the CAO before the last one threw all those up, which was unfortunate, but I still have my own Area B plan working. And I know how, when requests come in, I kind of have my own list of priorities and stuff. And I'm grateful that the board hasn't questioned anything, reading right off the bat, doing that solar panel project. That was pretty big. And so I'm happy. First of all, I appreciate the work that the staff have done on this, but I'm happy with the way it's working. I just want to correct you that it's not really ad hoc. Like it may seem that way to you because they're very different electoral areas and the requests come from different places and they sort of come up. There's not really a logic, but there is a logic in how we are working in respective areas. So that was my comment, and I support this and thank the staff for the work.
Yeah, just to clarify that, the ad hoc comment is, I'm, I guess, more familiar with, for example, municipally, we have a granting process, there's a clear policy, and once a year people come here, it seems that there's a lot more funds in responding to, and I get anxious, especially around emergency response, like, are we really putting aside and dedicating that money and keeping it safe? And so there's just, it's sort of in that whole context where I would feel a bit more comfortable to go, and I understand where we are and it's gonna take some time to get all there. So that was just context. Yeah, my other understanding was that as part of the governance work, we were looking sort of at a broader, what is the compensation and support and delegation to the EAs and so on. And I think some of that's coming back. To me, this is sort of a piece of that I feel should be considered holistically. And I feel a bit uncomfortable just sort of picking off these things one by one. I thought we were gonna have, as again, part of the governance work, EAD, here's again, all these pieces about support, compensation, delegated authority, and that was part of that whole governance discussion in my mind too. Eventually.
Please. Go ahead.
It's scheduled to come to the board in October, the delegated authority policy, et cetera. For this policy specifically, what Director LaFrance has done is only applied the required changes that are required by the government for us to change the policy there are many recommendations of things they would prefer that have not been included here. And it's, what you're seeing is only the things we must change in our policy, according to the new rules of the community use funds.
Plus one additional from the.
Yeah, sorry, yes, what's highlighted in green, any changes there are additional to what was recommended.
Yeah, and I guess my point is that it feels like that's a premature, that's part of an upcoming discussion in my mind, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. More work to come. I have Director Demare, then I have Director Herford.
On third-party organization, I mentioned the provincial agencies. Did you get a chance to look at that?
No, how did you? Sorry.
Yeah, we need to know. Please.
Probably possible, it's just, do we want to fund something that should be funded by the province is the other bigger question.
But we're gonna have to with the rail line road. So
That
we
would be a
need to
decision.
know that.
Okay.
I need to know that.
Maybe we'll take that conversation offline because the rest of us don't have the benefit of that previous conversation. Unless you want to share with the rest of us your concern.
Same for the,
Okay.
Well, well, I can't approve that then. Cause it's not in there.
Okay. That's fine. Director Herford, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Just, I need to take us back to the, that additional language there. And I'll start with, we have, the District of Squamish has never, the way our budgets work, it's an annual consideration. We're doing 5-year, now we're doing 10-year financial planning, and we can't spend anything we haven't budgeted for. There's no eyes on this fund. It is for the use in the as the regional district board agrees. I do think that the language there, I understand what the sort of the extra point and wanting to put an emphasis on it. I think there is a delegated responsibility piece that we could consider. We've heard that's coming to us. I also think the language really sort of signals that there's not interest in funding some sort of joint service or something through this fund, which I know we have examples of municipalities working quite well with surrounding electoral areas. So I find the language unnecessary and inflammatory, and I'm disappointed that it's there.
Thank you. Director Stoner, you had your hand and then you switched connections. So did you still want to make the comment?
I'm okay for now, thanks. But I would like to see that particular component removed if we're going to move this.
Okay.
Which possibly?
So it's the language just for the benefit of everyone that's kind of watching this. Despite the allocation process, community works funds belong to the area directors of the SLRD as to the electoral areas of the SLRD as a whole. As such, area directors are free to recommend and support the redistribution of funds allocated to the area they represent or to any other area of the SLRD as they desire. Community works funds are not allocated to member municipalities as they receive their own share of community works funds under separate agreement with UBCM. So because it didn't say that in the previous policy, it still worked. This is really, at the very least, more clarity. At the very worst, could be a stick in the eye to the members of the board that ask questions. I think the ad hoc conversation is not meant to do that. I think that the way that we budget projects and the way that we create budgets within municipalities is different than at a regional district. Often, we will have a list of projects that come at budget time, and our budgeting process is really complicated and it comes over 3 or 4 months, and it's a tremendous amount of work. But when you have 15,000 lines in a spreadsheet and they're all different projects, and then, so you've approved that budget process, you've gone through your 4 months, you've approved those projects, you've understood where that money is being allocated from. And then all throughout the year, the recommendation at our board meeting comes from the area directors committee to allocate this money to that project. Next month, allocate this money to that project.
Right.
It doesn't feel, to someone who doesn't, I attend all of the electoral area director committee meetings so that I have insight into the conversation that the four of you have. But for the benefit of the 6 other people at this table, it does feel like, why is this project coming? We didn't hear about this until it's come out of a recommendation from a committee. So for the benefit of background in the regional district, it makes it challenging to understand how are these projects being approved? Why are they not coming during budget time? And how do we understand the whole parcel of money and how we're spending it? I think that is the discussion. I don't think that this needs to be a point of contention. How we describe, and I think staff does a tremendous job of describing when these projects are applied for and where this money should come from. And I know that that money is being parsed out and well discussed at the at the electoral area directors committee. How that gets relayed to the municipal directors come board meeting time is a matter of a better presentation, more information if you need more information, more insight. Speak to the area directors. Why are we doing a solar panel on the pool? It doesn't have to be a point of, we're questioning it. It doesn't mean that we're saying we don't believe in the project. We're saying we'd like to understand if this is $10,000, is this $10,000 and 10,000 and 10,000, or is this a one-time? And we know that there's a big, big bucket of money that is not easy to understand. Does that kind of clarify why this conversation? And so I think that the language can stay because I think it supports the needs of the electoral area directors. I'll go with Director Stoner on the screen and then I'll come to you.
Yeah, thank you. Through the chair. I do think that generally there are improvements that can be made over time on how we budget and allocate these funds just for increased clarity. And I hear that as part of the conversation. That wasn't what I was intending to open up. To me, it really is the bullet point, the 4th bullet point under the allocation of the Community Works Fund, where there was an addition to the language that said the Community Works Funds belong to the electoral areas of the SLRD. And I just don't believe that to be accurate. Like the Community Works Funds come to the SLRD as a whole. We have policy, which I do fully support, that then chooses to allocate that monies directly to the electoral areas. And I'm not arguing to change that. But if a future board wanted to change that, those monies do come to the SLRD board as a whole based from the feds in the province. And so if that money wanted to be allocated across different electoral areas or for projects that span electoral areas and member municipalities, or a project that was within general government that fit the criteria of the Community Works Fund, that would be possible. And so for me, it's really just the addition of the language that the money is actually to the SLRD as a whole that feels important. It doesn't change the rest of the clauses that are in there. It keeps the last clause that says that the intention is not for it to go to member municipalities. But I have a hard time approving something that I just don't think is accurate in the way that this money gets dispersed. It doesn't go to the electoral areas as it comes from the province or UBCM. It comes to the SLRD as a whole.
I'm going to suggest that we've all made an argument that this is a matter of semantics, whether this is belongs to the SLRD or belongs to the electoral areas of the SLRD and does not account for the municipal portions that the municipalities get. I think we all agree, and we're kind of splitting hairs over language. I'm gonna ask that someone please make the motion.
So moved.
Do I have a seconder? Do I have any further comments? Go ahead.
No, I just.
Okay,
Second.
thank you. Any other comments? Go ahead.
I will move that we remove the green section, and I will speak to it if it's seconded.
Okay, there's an amendment to remove the electoral areas of the SLRD. Do I have a seconder for that amendment? Director Stoner is seconding it. Go ahead.
Well, there could be an argument to semantics. It's something that you seem to have conversations over and over again, and so I think these semantics are important. I don't think this adds clarity. I think we have existing policy that directs us to focus the spending in electoral areas. That's been our practice. I find this language really confuses the expectation of what we're doing here and the responsibility. And so I think I would prefer to have, if we want to make a change, I think there's better, clearer language that we could come up with. This sort of, I just don't think this clarity, and I don't think it really changes or improves the situation or our practice. And so I don't see this helping.
Okay, the province makes a decision about how community works funds are going to be distributed. And when they look at a regional district, they know full well there are municipalities in that regional district, and money is allocated directly to municipalities based on population. And then they make an allocation to the regional district. To me, that means that they recognize that the municipalities have received the money, and the smaller amount that is given to the regional district is to be used in the rural areas. I honestly don't see a problem with that. I don't see what the problem is with that wording. And I just want to go back to something that Director Richmond said, and I want to say I support that 100%. I cannot remember a time when this board has ever turned down something that's come as a recommendation from the AD regarding these kinds of things. Other things, yes, but not the community works funds or amenities funds. And so I don't have a problem with the way this is administered and managed. The only surprise I have sometimes is that the board don't ask questions. It just gets passed. You know, the one that just happened with Pinecrest and Black Tusk. Well, I'm happy it got passed, you know, but it wouldn't have surprised me if somebody has said, who's going to own that system when it's in place? Is there enough water? You know, I just asked a few of those questions that Omar and Colin and I have talked about before it came to the table. So that's not, I'm not complaining, but just raising that. You have the opportunity to ask questions whether you want, if you want to. I think this should remain the same. Green piece in place.
Okay, so we have an amendment. Go ahead.
Oh, I agree too. I think it should stay that because community works funds belong to the electoral areas. And in the next one, community works funds are not allocated to members as they receive their own. So if you take out the electoral areas part of it, then, you know, then that gets lost. Well, maybe it doesn't with this group, but it might with the next group, you know, and that's the thing. So I think that the money that is allotted to the regional district to piece out to the 4 electoral areas stays the way it is. The money that goes to the municipalities, they get their money. Nobody's arguing about that. Enjoy it, spend it. And I'm sure you do, but there's so many things that we have to maintain and try to get in place for our constituents, and we don't get very much money to begin with. So you know, I've been told that the Divine Water System, to bring it up to speed, you know, it's close to $1 million. Same thing with Divine. Well, that's 2 million. 2 million that Area C does not have, and we don't have the tax base in those communities, 40 some odd homes in Darcy, and there's probably only 25 or 30 in Divine. So, yeah, I think
That's what this money is for.
yeah, exactly. So let's leave it alone.
Okay, Director Herford, final comment, and then we're gonna call the question on the amendment.
Sorry, I do think we're discussing semantics here because we're not actually changing what the terms and conditions of the funds are. To me, this is just extra and unnecessary, and it's best practice for us to not have things that are extra and unnecessary in the policy. So I'll be supporting the amendment. This is not about accessing those funds for any other purpose than is intended. It's just we don't need to duplicate. Thank you.
I'm calling the question on the amendment.
The amendment is.
The amendment is to remove those 4 words, electoral areas of the SLRD. Of the.
Forward.
Because it otherwise says belongs to the SLRD as a whole. I'm calling the question. All in favor on the amendment to remove? I have Chris, Mike, Jenna. Okay, and the motion fails. I had both Armand and Jenna if you wanted to record that. Okay, so the motion fails, therefore approving the policy as it is written. Calling the question, all in favor? Is there anyone opposed? Director Stoner and Director Pettengill are opposed, motion carries. Thank you. 6.1.3. Should be an easy one, Tony. This is a request for decision regarding the funding of Britannia Beach Playground, Sun Shelter and Bench. This is
Money should be spent in Squamish.
Make a motion to approve this?
We typically give an opportunity for the board. I'm not trying to drag this out, you guys, but I do want to follow policy.
Yeah.
And if we want to jump all over the place, as we've been doing, things may be missed. Does anyone have any questions for our staff on this particular allocation of funds? It's a small amount, but it's important to the community that it's there. Are there any questions? I don't see any questions. Now, did you want to speak to this? Does anything keep you up at night about that?
No, we have a permit for the playground now.
Yes.
And we just have a ugly old bench sitting in there, so we would like to put a nicer one in.
Okay. And I will say, as silly as this is gonna sound, sun protection in our current climate is actually far more important to the health and well-being of our community. And it's not a luxury. This is actually a requirement now. So thank you.
That's why we want.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I will ask that someone make this motion. I think Director Rainbow would like to move it. I think Director Morgan would like to second it. Are there any comments? You want to make a comment? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
I'd like to thank Whis-
No more post-motion comments.
No, I just want to thank Whistler.
No, stop.
I do.
No, you can do that. Okay, we're moving on to 7.1.
Who took a
This
picture
is a
of the
bylaw, you
photo?
guys, serious.
Yeah, that's exactly.
We're looking at the Pemberton Fire Rescue Contribution Service Conversion and Establishment Amendment Bylaw number 1920-2025. We have Director LaFrance here. Hi.
I have no questions.
This is just an amendment bylaw for the Pemberton Fire Rescue Contribution Service. The current maximum requisition is no longer sufficient to fund the service. It's a contracted service to the village of Pemberton to provide this fire rescue. They have come back happy with this amendment. The change from the current maximum to the next maximum for the average residential property would be $46 a year. So not a big change. It is a fairly large service.
Yes.
So I'll just open up for any questions.
Question?
Can I move all 4 of that at once, or do I have to do one at a time?
One at a time, but I would like to give an opportunity for anyone to ask a real question. I don't see any questions, so now.
Thank you. So can I move the first that?
Yep, that the bylaw 1920 is introduced and read for first, second, and third time.
Okay,
Seconded by Director Rainbow. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
and move to second that.
At 1920 be given, that the bylaw receive participating area approval and consent from the director. That is moved by Director Mack, seconded by Director Richmond. Comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. That bylaw 1920 receive participating area and approval, et cetera, the village of Pemberton.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
By Director Mack, seconded by Director Morton. Comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. And
And fourth,
Yeah. okay, the service and conversion establishment bylaw number 715-2001. As at third reading, together with the associated staff report and the participating area consents be forwarded to the Inspector of Municipalities for approval pursuant to the Community Charter and the Local Government Act, moved by Director Mack, seconded by Director Rainbow. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
We can ask that they don't make so much noise during meetings, please.
No.
Oh,
There's no fire service available on Wednesdays and Thursdays because of the needs. Okay, 7.2. Who we have? Hi. Here to talk about zoning amendment bylaw 1915 and OCP amendment bylaw 1916, area D, agricultural updates, second reading and public hearing. Over to you.
Excellent, thank you. My name is Claire Dewar. I'm a senior planner here at the Squamish-Lillooet Regional District. So before you are zoning and OCP amendment bylaws that propose updates to the agriculture zones and designations in area D. These bylaws were received first reading by the board in June and have worked through the referral process. And are now being brought back for consideration of second reading. The referral comments were supportive of the amendments. And such staff is recommending the board give second reading and schedule a virtual public hearing. We have a really high level overview of some of the referral responses that were received. The ALC staff confirmed alignment with the ALR regulations and note that they support the SLRD's use of such zoning regulations in addition to the existing farm residential footprint and maximum setback to limit residential impacts on agricultural lands in the Squamish Valley. They have no concerns with the OCP amendment, and they did suggest stronger or revised language around permitted uses, which have been included in the revised bylaw proposed here for second reading, not specifically the OCP amendment. Track changes are included in Appendix B. And then Ministry of Agriculture and Food, we're pleased to see the updated language, which reflect the ALC Act and Use Regulation. No additional comments. They also noted that they were encouraged to see ALUI data referenced. And then I also wanted to highlight the Squamish Food Policy Council referral response, which stated that the proposed amendments are an important step in aligning local zoning with provincial priorities. And further, encouraging to see the SLRD to keep residential uses clearly secondary to farming. By doing so, the SLRD will help maintain the integrity of the ALR, reduce speculation, and keep farmland available, affordable, and productive for the long term. Other referral responses just noted no comments. And specific to the revisions to the Area D OCP amendment section, there was the removal of reference to helipad and airstrip, as well as small hydroelectric facilities. And then, as I mentioned, more explicit language around permitted uses that are more aligned with the Agriculture Land Commission Act and the learning regulations. And I just wanted to note that staff are recommending a virtual public hearing, which will enable more widespread participation from the public and also potential participation from any Ministry of Agriculture staff or ALC staff if needed. And I'll leave that open up to any questions the board may have.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Go ahead, Director Birch-Jones.
Thank you. I'd like to attend the public hearing, and so will the board be notified when that's scheduled? Okay, great. I wondered, around the ALR boundary changes where it says we need to update our designation mapping, blah, 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 to reflect. So how, when we do that, who notifies the landowners? Do we do that, or does the ALC do that? Or does anybody do that?
Through the chair, I don't believe that there's a responsibility to notify landowners, and these are resource management lands that are now designated agriculture under the agriculture land reserve mapping. And so we it's our best practice to align the agriculture designation, and I'll say this. What's happening on the ground is the riverbed is shifting in the Squamish Valley. So that's what these mapping changes are largely reflecting landscape level changes in the Squamish Valley as a whole.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I remember Director Rainbow saying you were gonna have a meeting with the farmers in the valley, or maybe are we just relying on the public hearing?
That is the official forum for
Yeah.
feedback,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Can I just ask it be Zoom rather than Teams? 'Cause-
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Through the board, the public hearings are virtually held via Zoom.
Zoom, thank you.
Great. And I do encourage any board member to attend the virtual public hearings because I think it's important to the decisions that we make, and hearing directly from people is critical to us making good decisions. Okay, would you like to move, can we do second and public hearing and the other in one? Separate them separately? Okay. So moved second
Whatever.
reading
Yes,
by Director Rainbow of both,
can I do both of them? Both
each
that?
separate. So 1915 given second reading, moved by Director Rainbow,
Yes.
seconded by Director Birch-Jones. Comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. And then that bylaw 1916.
Move that.
Moved and given a second reading as revised, moved by Director Rainbow, seconded by Director Birch-Jones. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. And that the board directs staff to schedule and advertise a public hearing held virtually via Zoom.
Moved.
Moved by Director Rainbow, seconded by Director Demare. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Yeah.
7.3. And this is a electoral area B agricultural advisory committee terms of reference amendment. And Ms. Stewart.
Thank you, Claire Dewar, Senior Planner at the Squamish-Lillooet Regional District. I don't have any any new information to share with the board. If there's any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Okay. Questions?
Just, I wasn't sure, I'm really happy about this, and I know the district has nominated a rep, and I'm pleased. I'm wondering why it's not a voting member. We are voting members on the AAC. And with the district of Lillooet, because we have the bylaw where we are, have the opportunity to share this as a tax service in the future, seems to me the district representative should also be a voting member. Did I just make that amendment? Is that?
So through the chair, the invite that was extended to the district of Lillooet was specifically for a non-voting member. And that is aligned with the current approach, also in the Pemberton Valley and with the Area C AAC. So this would be a departure from our current practice and our current terms of reference. We do have other staff that sit on the committee that are non-voting members. So it's only to say that there are more people at the table that are there that aren't voting. It's not just one person. And the other consideration is that the SLRD board representative, I believe, is appointed. So true, so I'm not sure if there's a difference within a different organization, I guess. I wouldn't be able to speak, that might be more of a legislative question for those pieces.
Well, first of all, I should have brought this up a lot earlier. I just didn't realize that they would be a non-voting member. Of course, I'm in support of this, but I think they should be a voting member.
Perhaps take that to the committee for discussion and then a recommendation back to the board after your first meeting with,
Thank
or
you.
your next meeting.
Yeah, if the committee agrees, yes, thank you.
Okay.
And through the chair, I can also speak with legislative services on what that looks like from the SLRD's perspective, because I'm not familiar with that aspect.
Okay, would you like to move that?
Yes, please.
So you're moving first, second, and third reading,
I am.
and it's seconded by Director Rainbow. Comments? All in favor? No one opposed, motion carries. And moving adoption,
So moved.
Director Birch Jones. Director Hoffel. Any questions, any comments? All in favor? Anyone opposed, motion carries. Go 10 minutes.
Thank you.
We do a lot. in 10 minutes.
7.4.
We've done crazy things in 10 minutes. Let's go to the CAO verbal update, or would you rather wait till tomorrow?
No, I can be really fast.
What
Okay.
time was that?
8.1.
What about 7.4?
We did that.
That's what that check mark means.
Ah.
Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. Heather Paul, CAO SLRD. Just a quick update, as we have been doing during these summer and dry months about emergency services. There are currently no out of control wildfires in the SLRD. And regarding glacier, subject matter experts are finalizing their study, and we are contracting subject matter experts to undertake a broader public safety study of Place Glacier. It's not if, it's when. It'll be a seasonal thing, so how to prevent that in the future instead of patching the Band-Aid every year. That's it for that.
Thank you.
And then the Stoughton Toxic Drug Task Force, SLRD representation has been invited to that task force, and I would like a motion to support any expenses for Director Birch Jones, who's attending that task force. If she'd like to speak in detail about it. What I would like is a motion to just cover all support and cover all expenses.
Okay,
Oh,
would you like to speak to it? first?
Seconded.
Do you want to speak to it?
Sure, I'm not planning on running up very many expenses, but the meetings are very close to home. But I'm pleased to participate on this, and I was really impressed with the first meeting. There were 11 or 10 of the 11 chiefs at the end. CAO Paul was there for the entire day. This is a tough one, but even just in the getting together, we all learned, first of all, I won't go into sort of the tragic statistics and what's happening so much, is that there's a lot of services, but they're very patchwork. So just in getting together and communicating and finding out what each other is doing, there's quite a bit of progress, but there's a lot of work to do here, and we've had the second meeting, which was virtual. And we'll update the board as we make progress with that.
Thank you. Okay, so the motion is to support the travel costs and meeting fees for, or whatever the expenses are,
I'll second.
each specific.
Thank you.
Moved by Director Mack, seconded by Director Rainbow, all in favor, anyone opposed, motion carries. And a motion to receive the CAO verbal update, please.
So
Moved by Director Bergeron, seconded by Director Demerit, all in favor, anyone opposed, motion carries. And 8.3, this is a direction request regarding an ALC subdivision application. And we have Director Needham here to answer questions. Does anyone have any questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, just looking at the options, the preferred decision from staff seems to be contrary to what I read, what I understand from our policy and what I read in the regional impacts right above, which is increase the overall amount of agricultural land used for non-agricultural purposes, so on and so forth. Could set a precedent for similar uses on other parcels, and this involves shrinking the size of an agricultural portion. So wanting to understand why there's a recommendation to support, given what the stated impacts are.
Thank you.
Amy, I'm Director of Planning and Development Services. It's basically because the subdivision meets the minimum parcel size. So they are able to do that by way of the zoning. If the board were to want to prevent that, there could be a consideration of increasing the minimum parcel size. But right now, this would be allowed under the current zoning.
Question?
No, I was going to move that we support number one and move it off to the ALC.
Okay.
For their decision.
Did you have your question answered? Or is you're still for?
Yeah, well, no, it's just, I thought we just, and maybe it was in a different area, but updated the zoning on the premise that it was a parcel size that would sort of prevent the consequences we're seeing is identified as a regional impact here. So maybe the problem is in our possibly newly adjusted zoning, but yeah, just trying to wrap my head around that. Yes.
Yeah, thanks. It's still a very large parcel, so subdividing it will still create a large parcel. So it's not like they're creating tiny parcels.
So a bigger conversation for a zoning amendment if we wanted to change that minimum parcel size in this zone.
Yeah.
But it's still satisfying the need.
That's correct.
Okay, so I had it moved by Director Mack. I have it seconded by Director Demare. Any comment? Go ahead, Director Stoner.
Yeah, I just like to register that I won't be supporting the motion on the floor. While I understand that it is perhaps in line with the zoning that could be allowable here, I do think it's contrary to our OCP, the Pemberton Valley Agricultural Area Plan, and the Electoral Area C Official Community Plan. So I won't be supporting the motion on the floor. Thanks.
Anyone else have any comments that they'd like to make? Being none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Chris wasn't opposed.
Oh, sorry, Chris, both Chris and Jenna opposed. Thank you. Okay. Okay. A request for decision for the BC Sustainable Energy Association Coolant Climate Leadership Training Program proposal and sponsorship funds.
What do you?
That's one.
We did 8.4.
Let's 8.2.
No, we didn't. I checked off. Sorry, let's do 8.4.
The same thing, right?
Okay. But.
I will move that to refer to the electoral area C, AAC.
Great.
I second that.
Great. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Being none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now we're on it.
Okay. Yeah.
Living all day.
Thank you. My name is Claire Dewar. I'm a senior planner at the Squamish-Lillooet Regional District. So here before us, we have a recommendation to receive the BC Sustainable Energy Association's Coolant Climate Leadership Training Program proposal, and that the SV board provide 2025 to 2028 class sponsorship for up to 10 elementary classes and 5 high school classes within the SLRD school district 48 and 74 to participate in the program, which would cost up to $29,175 funding to come from the local government climate action program, or 80%, and then 20% from the regional growth strategy general government projects. This is aligned with our goal 11, take action on climate and associated strategic directions. The program was really successful last year following the 1-year funding from the SLRD. So this is looking to build momentum on that program, and I'm happy to take any questions that we have.
Thank you. I'll just ask that everyone turn your heads to that wall and look at the chair. Not to manipulate outcomes.
I'm thrilled.
Would anyone like to make a motion? That you support
So
this?
happy to see this. Yeah.
Go. Go ahead.
Just one comment, I think this is great. A few times in the report, it speaks to how minimal staff time will be required, a minimal impact. And one perspective is that's great. On the other hand, when I see how little understanding there's of government and so on, it feels like actually a real opportunity for our staff to engage with kids. And so from my perspective, maybe this is an opportunity actually for our staff to engage more with the students.
Or director.
Yeah.
Or a director. Or a director, and in school district 74, certainly at the high school, we have one really big advocate, and if you're not already in touch with her, I'd love to connect you up, and I would like any.
They didn't get any, they didn't apply to the high school.
Yeah.
They did it last year, but now we're looking at next year, right?
District 74 is included.
Yes, but the high school.
Oh.
There was, Caillouche got 3 classes and grade
Yeah.
4 and 5 was high school for talent.
So I have contacted the high school for you.
Any other comment?
They have a green club.
All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Let's recess this meeting until tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.